Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Welcome back to another episode of I Am Home. It's Tyler Weiscup here, recording from NFM headquarters, and I'm joined by our familiar voices on the mic, Becca Sudbeck.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Becca, and of course, Hilary Waltemath.
Hey.
Hi, Hilary. And today we are joined by football star, wide receiver Cade Johnson. He's going to be talking about growing up in and around Omaha, his home life, and so much more. But first, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast, and that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. Learn more at nfm.com. And we're on officially with Cade Johnson.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No, this is all pleasure on this side. We're so excited to have you.
Yeah,
in studio.
Extra
100%.
fun. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Added bonus. So let's introduce you to our audience. Cade Johnson is a professional wide receiver currently in free agency. Born and raised in Papillion, Nebraska, Cade attended Bellevue West High School, where he excelled both in football and in basketball. He continued his football journey at South Dakota State University, where he became a standout player, earning, I think it basically just said all the accolades.
All of them.
When I looked at it, you smashed records there. And then after signing with the Seattle Seahawks as an undrafted free agent in 2021, Cade demonstrated his talent and determination both on and off the field. And again, we're honored to have you here today. Is there anything that I missed there in the short intro? We'll dive into it a
really
little bit
good,
more.
so I appreciate it.
Well, I wonder if we can start with one of the things that I saw about you that I think you said in an interview, another interview that you had done, that you had quit football when you were in 7th grade, and you put all your focus into playing basketball. That was kind of the thing. You were thinking that maybe you would try to make a run at the NBA or something like that at that time.
I don't know. I feel like it was just a leap of faith, and
Sure.
My dad kind of encouraged me to take a break too, because I was a lot smaller. Like, I've always been just like the runt of the family, like was what they explained to me as, which is fine because I feel like I have the biggest heart. So, but yeah, I kind of just quit football all in all and came back my sophomore year after I was introduced to Michael Huffman. He's the head football coach of Bellevue West, and he kind of convinced me to go out, and the rest is kind of history from there. My first ever time playing in high school, it was like the Gatorade scrimmage, and I was on reserve, and we were playing the freshmen, and I scored 4 touchdowns, and then I wasn't even supposed to be in the Gatorade scrimmage, and he was like, here, take this varsity jersey.
Oh, after the scrimmage?
After the scrimmage.
Oh,
so I went into the locker room, I
Wow.
changed really fast and came back out, and so it was just, from there, I just fell in love again just from that
right
night.
away.
And it was amazing. So
Scoring touchdowns is pretty fun.
Yeah. Because it was like my first JV game ever. We were playing our crosstown rivals, Bellevue East, and I wasn't really on varsity yet. And my future best friend in high school, he threw me 5 touchdown passes, and I had like 300 yards.
Oh my
Wow.
And the
First
whole
game?
the whole varsity was there, and they were all like, who is this kid? He needs to come. And then like 3 games later, I'm starting on varsity with my older brother. So it was really awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah.
And this was as a sophomore?
As a sophomore, yep.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I had it. It was amazing. Like Huffman, he ran a 4 receiver system. So it all kind of just played into my into my hands. So
did how did he talk you into like coming back?
See, it was really like him and my dad, because like my brother was the best player in the state.
Okay.
And he was like decorated, like he broke a lot of records at a young age, and he was kind of just like the golden child of our family. And so my dad had a really good relationship with Huffman just through him. And it was kind of both of them just being persistent. And I remember there were some summer camps where I was like, Dad, like, I can't do this. Like I don't feel comfortable. I'm still really small. And he was like, you know what, I'll tell you what, if you just get through the summer and you try out and you play a couple games and you absolutely hate it, you can walk away. And I'm glad that I kind of just stayed at it. And Huffman was like they moved me from running back to receiver, and I think that was like the best switch for me because I was like, again, I was like 150 soaking wet. Like it wasn't very, pretty for me to be a running back. So
right.
You're getting lit
receiver
up a lot.
was, that was like perfect for me. And so, it was amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you've really had a roller coaster ride in football,
Yep.
all state in high school, but you weren't recruited. You walked on to South Dakota State, partially because you had a connection to one of the coaches, which we've learned. But then you just had 3 years of racking up incredible stats and awards, both as a receiver and a return specialist. Did you set out from the beginning to prove people wrong? We know you've said you've always kind of played with a chip on your shoulder. Yeah,
I mean, I like every time I played like in the Missouri Valley. So like you were saying, we talked about earlier, every team's pretty much rivals. So you take visits to all those schools and I'm looking at all these teams. So like, luckily for me, I walked on at the best, if not one of the best Missouri Valley schools in South Dakota State. So every team that I played, it's like I visited your school and you didn't like offer me or give me the attention I deserved. And like, for me, that was like, so every time I play you, I'm just going to try to embarrass you or like get you to remember who I was as a person. So like that played a huge role into it. And just like being able to, have that chip on my shoulder where it's like, okay, you guys made a huge mistake and I just feel like just disrespected. So that was kind of just my mentality through all of it. And my dad, like, he got the best laugh out of all of it because he would drive me constantly like hours and hours on the road, just like begging and pleading these teams to kind of give me an opportunity or like just a look. And none of them would do that. So it was like, it was like a bittersweet for all that. So at the end of the day, I was just super happy and grateful.
That's so interesting though, that you've said this before, like the chip on your shoulder, and it makes sense. But like when I hear you speak and like when I see you talk in interviews, like I just don't like, do you like flip a switch? Like what happens like in the game where you're just like out there killing it so hard?
I don't know. It's something like, cause I feel like I'm a very nice, genuine guy.
Yeah,
but when
you have the biggest heart,
right? I know, but when I get on the field, it's just like something just takes over my body. It really is. And my mom, like she always like talks to me about it, like just like having the biggest heart, but then just being like the biggest competitor is like, I don't like to lose or come in second. So, and I've always been like that with the millions of fights with my brothers and stuff like that. So it kind of just like carries on with me throughout everything. And it's a blessing and a curse because like me and my girlfriend are sitting there at the table playing Uno and it's like, we're about to throw punches because it's like it's Uno, but I'm gonna win.
Exactly. I mean, there is some like that. I feel like is what usually distinguishes the people that are, you might have the same amount of talent, but there's like a switch that 100%. Flips and like that makes you, the next level.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's what you need for sure. So in 2020, we all know what happened in the world. South Dakota canceled their season. So walk us through your mindset then. I know that you had interest in the transfer portal, but ultimately you decided to declare for the NFL draft. And, you can walk us through all the ins and outs of what happened, but you had the FCS Senior Bowl, which you played really well. And then there was the pro day where you injured your groin. And so like your draft, promise going up and down. And it was such a crazy time in the world. So talk to us about your mindset about like dealing with your future and trying to plan that out, but also like the state of the world. I mean, were you just completely freaking out the whole time?
I mean, I was just it was a really weird headspace for me because I came into college with all these like amazing guys. And it was like in college, it's like everyone kind of just like sorts, like the more years you go by, the smaller the group gets. So for us, it was like, we've been there for 4 years together and I have some lifelong best friends because of it. But like it was just a really tough decision. Cause like we go into the facility one day and they tell us like, hey, you're not going to be here anymore. Like, the facilities, everything's shutting down. We're not going to have a season this year. So like for me, it was like, dang, like this is like a make or break year for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that is when my coaches, a couple of them, they discussed to me like, getting in the transfer portal and kind of weighing out my options. Because if I didn't play another season, I'd be declaring like without like I wanted to have options. And yeah, so that's kind of when, luckily for me, all my classes were online, so I was able to move back here and be with my family throughout like the whole process. And me and my mom got really close, and I got really good at making espresso with her thing in the morning for class. But yeah, and so it was just it was a roller coaster, like you said. It was a lot of up and down, and then my dad was like pretty much throwing to me every day and staying in shape for football. And one day, we were at Bellevue West and the Reese's Senior Bowl. They sent out a video crew, and that's kind of when it all kind of started taking off, because I had like a bunch of college football offers, and it was like really hard because like I didn't have any of these offers in high school,
right?
And like they're like teams you're watching every day, and like these very storied programs, and it's like I want to do this, but then again, like I feel like I had a respect for South Dakota State, and that is like, if I stay here, if I declare here, I'm wearing their name, and they have made me who I am today. And it was perfect. It all kind of just played its part, and I was able to make that easy decision to just declare for the draft, because this is one of the top bowl games in all of like just the United States. And so, and then the whole pro day, my first ever 40-yard dash, I just completely, it just like popped. And I couldn't walk. I woke up the next day and like my whole leg was just filled with like blood. It was not good. So, and it played a big part in the draft process, because when I signed with the Seahawks, like I couldn't go until like the start of training camp. So like it really it put me back a little bit, and a lot of the teams had concerns, but at the end of the day, I think it all worked itself out, and I was happy to be in Seattle. So even though like the draft wasn't like everything that I pictured, it was definitely a learning experience, and it kept me motivated throughout the whole process. So
I know there's some silver linings too with like the way that the draft process went out, and maybe kind of similar to your path growing up in football, really. 100%. Like you got a call from Pete Carroll, and like actually like where you felt like genuine interest from the team, especially going through all the ups and downs. Can you speak to that a little bit?
That, and they only had like 3 draft picks, so it was like
really
all these teams were like calling me, offering me like these big contracts for undrafted free agents, but I'm like, you had a pick in the 6th and 7th round, so like why didn't you just use that? Like and so like that was like another thing, is like my dad explained to me like, hey, Cade, this is like perfect, because this has been your story, and now you're able to pick your own team that you want to go to and put yourself in the best possible chance to succeed. And that was kind of where we were at, and I left it at that, and I didn't want to dwell over that or be sorry for myself. And I was just going to say, when I come in here, I'm just going to prove everyone wrong, and I'm going to just take off with my dreams. And I feel like I've done that to the best of my capabilities. So,
Well, I know, like the drama didn't stop. You get on an NFL team, and you're like, people think that that's like the end of the dream, but then there's all the work that goes into it.
It's like the start, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit about the process of like trying to make a team, because there's the 53-man roster, and then there's like the training squad, and there's like different degrees of like how you can be included in the NFL. And I wonder if you can talk about your journey, especially early on with the Seahawks.
It's so complicated, because they always have like different rules that they imply every year. But when I first came into the league, it was, so you start off on a 90-man roster. So that's kind of what every team's building to be right now, is 90-man. And then once training camp starts, it's different now, but it used to be like after week 1, you have to cut 5 guys. And then after that, week 2, you have to cut 5 more guys. And then after that, it's like 5 or 10 more guys. And then it goes from a week of like 80 guys, and then they cut it down to 53. And then you have your 16 practice squad players too. So it's like, it's a lot of moving pieces, but they changed it now. So it's like, it goes from 90 to 53.
Oh, that's a big cut.
So
that's a big cut.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. So like, yeah, you go through the 3 preseason games, and then after that, they kind of just like name the rosters, whether you're on practice squad or 53. And yeah, so if you do get cut, you have like a waiver wire you get to go through where it's like every team has a chance to claim you. And if not, once you pass those, then you can sign back to the practice squad for the year.
Okay.
So I did that the first couple years, and Seattle was just like, once I signed back my first year, that was Russ's last year in Seattle. And there was like a lot of moving pieces that year. And it was a huge learning curve for me. And I was able to kind of just like adapt and get acclimated to the NFL speed and just how to be a pro. And then the next year when I came back, it was another practice squad year, but it was definitely, I had a lot better feeling about it. Like it was a newer team, and a lot more guys were trying to we were kind of trying to find an identity. So I figured I had a lot better chances that year. And then like towards the end of the year, I ended up, so like every practice squad player gets 3 elevations before you have to sign to the 53 man. So at the end of the year, I was able to get all 3 of those elevations. And then I wasn't just being elevated, I was starting at slot. So that was like crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like you go from being on P squad to like, okay, I'm in like on like 75% of the plays, which is like, it's pretty crazy. And yeah, so my first games, like I started against the Jets, and then I came back and started against the Rams, and it was like, we're in a 50-50 chance to be in the playoffs. And the Lions ended up being the Packers, and the next game was the playoffs at the 49ers, and I started that one too. So it was like, it's a dream come true for me. That was like a perfect ending to the season. And yeah, so it's been like a huge roller coaster, but you have to stay persistent, and you can't really have bad days. Like bad days, especially on P squad, that'll get you fired like within 2 seconds. So if you're having a bad day, you kind of just gotta have a moment to yourself and like try to just be positive and not play that head game and just stay even keeled throughout the whole situation. So
how is well, first off, like what do you mean by like a bad day? Is it just like you're dropping balls, like missing routes? Like, because in the practice squad, I mean, in my high school football days, we had to like try to like do the plays of the other team. And I'm like, I don't know their plays. Like I gotta try to like figure this stuff out. And like, was that a lot? Because you got to learn something new every single week.
Like knowing the other team's plays and knowing your plays.
Yeah.
So like that's the thing people don't realize too, is like you're on P squad, but it's like you're really you're a second stringer to the starter.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of people that can be on 53. Like they're taking like and that's another thing, my rookie year, the Seahawks, they had 4 guys on 53 as wide receivers. So it's like, okay, you have 4 guys on 53, then you have 4 more on practice squad. So it's like everyone's just backing up everybody. So you got to know the plays. And then on top of that, you're getting reps at scout team and showing them like the Los Angeles Rams. Like, okay, I'm Cooper Kupp this week, and you got to like know all his routes and how he runs. And then you got to know your plays, at what you're backing up on. So yeah, it really is. And so like bad days, yeah, it could go that, or it's like, oh, we have a 7-hour day. Like just put your head down and work and grind. And like, even though you're not playing on Sunday, you just like, you're grateful for the opportunities and the moments, and just know that this is like the 1% of the jobs that like you get to wake up and do what you love every day. So that's kind of my perspective to it, is like, I get to play football for a living and I make really good money. So like, as bad as it can be that I'm not on 53, I'm still grateful. Like, look at where I've came from. Like, this is kind of just where I'm at. So, but
it's really refreshing.
I mean, that's a great perspective too.
So you did have 2 catches in 2023 in a game against the Rams for 10 and 11 yards. I mean, that's pretty solid, right?
That was like, one of them was in the 2-minute drill at the end of the game, to go down there and score. And it was like, it was like my adrenaline's going. Your adrenaline's going so much. You don't even like. I don't even remember that play. I just black out during the whole thing. So.
I can imagine.
So
did that feel like the culmination of the dream at that point, when you finally like have yardage in
definitely
a game?
a little bit. Yeah, I still have like a lot more that I feel like I have left in the tank. I'm just waiting patiently for the moments and working hard. So yeah, but yeah, it was definitely rewarding. And then it's funny because the ESPN, they don't do the playoff stats. So I was actually the second leading receiver in the 49ers game. And that was like a lot more fulfilling for me because it's like I always watch the playoffs and the NFC wildcard game, and it's a good 49ers team. So like it was, that was a lot more rewarding for me, and just like being put in those positions to make those plays. So yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, also in 2023, during a preseason game against the Vikings, you experienced a concussion.
Yeah.
And we understand that you've had maybe a few of them throughout your career. This one seemed to be taken very seriously, and curious to know if it felt different as you were taken out of the game on a stretcher into the hospital.
Yeah, that was really weird, and it was a really scary feeling because I went from like being on an NFL field, and then you're in the hospital with like a brace on, and you can't. And it was like that was the game none of my family members came to, so it was like
all alone.
I was kind of by my. I was with the team doctors, like they were great, but I don't really know these people like that. So it was definitely it was kind of just like a whirlwind of events, and so I was returning a kickoff, and I went, and I guess my head, it was like they kind of explained it was like severe whiplash of like getting in a car wreck, and it was a pretty major concussion too. So I just kind of complained about my neck, and I had like a sharp pain, and my hands were kind of numb. So I was really, at the moment, I was kind of worried, and I wanted to stay in the game, but they just said that like that's not possible, like just protocol. And we have a great athletic trainer, and I felt comfortable telling him the stuff. And so they put me on a stretcher and wheeled me out at half. And I was on some pretty crazy painkillers and stuff like that. And my mom was freaking out, and they took my phone, and so it was a crazy crazy event. So, but I'm grateful, God came back, and I'm good. So it was scary at the moment, but now I'm completely healed, and I'm totally fine. So
oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't even imagine what that experience is like.
So scary.
And it just happens too. It's like it's nothing that you like plan for. You can't really there's nothing that you can do to kind of make sure it doesn't happen. It's just like everything's moving at 100%. And I've had a bunch of concussions, but I also feel like it hasn't affected me in the way of like I have memory loss or anything like that. So I'm very cautious about that. And I feel like you should always have like the full time to heal and process, and just not put yourself, because all the time you hear like there's life after football, and I don't want this to like affect my long-term living where I'm like I can't function the way I want to. So like I definitely protect my mental in all those ways. So
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Glad you're doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
So we've just been talking how you've had to navigate through tons of adversity, really throughout your entire career. Love to know what's been the most rewarding aspect of playing football throughout any point in your football career.
I would definitely say the relationships that you build, and just like the people that you get to meet throughout the process. And on top of that, the experiences and the places you get to go. That's been like the greatest fulfillment for me, because a lot of people, like, especially like in the NFL, a lot of people look at the people like you have a fantasy team, or you're watching their interviews, or you see like what they're wearing, and you immediately have an opinion on somebody. And it's like, I have some of like the coolest, dopest friends, and I see them just like as a friend in a like a real human. And it's like, these guys are more than what, the TV shows them.
Right.
And like, it's really cool, because like the relationships, they last forever. And it's like, you're at the top of the peak, and you're at a profession that like not a lot of people have. So you can relate to a lot of things. And that's like been really fulfilling for me. And just like having those people, and like sending those congratulation texts because you just changed your life and you changed a lot of people's lives around you. And yeah, it's been amazing, and just like building connections and like knowing all these people. That's probably been like the most fulfilling thing of just being in sports and having those connections and ties with everything. So
I can see that.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So are you trying to get back to playing football?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal.
I was with my agent this past weekend. So
Okay.
now he's going to work, and we're talking to teams, and he's negotiating contracts. So it's a kind of a stressful
I'd
time.
imagine.
Yeah, but this is his job, and like I have full faith, and he's going to put me in the best position to succeed, and I'm looking forward to it. So I just got to be patient, and the rest will carry itself. So yep.
Okay, well, got some exciting stuff to look forward to
Yes.
hopefully next year.
Yeah.
Yes. So I know you've kind of talked about your relationships, the importance of that. You've looked up to a lot of people in the sports world. I think just based on past interviews that you've given. You talked about your dad playing for Nebraska during the 94-95 championship runs.
Those are the glory days.
Your brother being a Nebraska Gatorade athlete of the year.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about the role mentors have played in shaping your values, whether it's people like your dad or your brother or all these great coaches that we've been talking about?
Yeah, my dad especially, and my older brother. I owe a lot to my older brother, actually, because like my whole life I was always just chasing him, and like people always were talking about him, and so like that was like another thing for me is just like growing up and getting back into football is like I want to be as good as him, and like I always, whenever like I'm done with a game or something, he's like the first one I'm on the phone with or I'm texting, and it's just like for me, it's like he's always just been a lead by example kind of guy, and he didn't always have the drive and passion to do it, and I think that's kind of what made me catch him in a sense, because I feel like if he had the same mentality and stuff as me, he would have. And everyone's different, so we never like pushed him or like was like, oh, why don't you do this, why don't you do that. He did exactly what he needed to do, and I feel like he's been a great brother and still is a great brother to me in that sense. And then my dad and my mom, obviously I can't leave her out too, but my dad especially, he's been like the biggest coach to me, and he's always just been there for me. And I always, whenever I talk about him, it's hard not to get emotional, but he's just like he's always been calming to me, and he makes me feel like I'm the best ever, and I know I'm not the best ever, but he always has those expectations of me, and he's just like the best dad that I could ask for, and he's perfect. Like he's done everything the right way, and I'm just forever grateful for him and just what the role he plays in my life, and he's always been there for me, and he's just awesome. So I love him a lot.
I think my heart just grew 3 sizes. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
You get this like stereotypical vision of like the football dad that's like you
Yeah.
can't ever please him or
Right.
make him happy,
Yeah.
and he's always so hard on you. But that's so sweet. I love that.
Yeah. He was like the most even keel of like, I'm hard on you, but I also love you because you're my son. And I feel like I wanted to go out. I want to go out there every time I'm on the field and just make him proud. Like, it's like,
and it also probably helps that like he will be proud.
Yeah.
Like versus like like I don't know, tearing you down. Like he's your biggest fan.
Yeah, and I will say like that's probably like one of my best moments ever. Is like my first game of my redshirt sophomore year. I'll never forget this. And like, so I scored 4 touchdowns in my first game against Montana State. And I remember because his tickets were right behind the bench. And I remember after my 3rd touchdown in the first half, I came back to the bench and I was looking at him, and he was just like, he was so happy. And I was like, this is like the best moment of my life.
Yeah.
And it was
like
just
bottle that up.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like when you look up there and you see your dad like fangirling, it's like it's like the coolest thing in the world. It's like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's amazing, and I love him. So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, we could probably talk about your football career all day, but shifting gears a little bit, we want to ask you about growing up in Omaha, Bellevue, Papillion area. Was it a nice place to grow up? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, well, my parents, they were actually divorced at a young age when I was 4. And so we moved back. I was born in Lincoln. We moved to Milwaukee, and then I moved back to Papillion. So my dad, he actually owned a restaurant on Pacific Street. It was called 9495. And so my parents had dual custody, so we were all over the place. Like we lived in Millard, we lived in Omaha. My mom always lived in Papillion in our childhood home. But yeah, we got the best of everything in Omaha, and we played on all these different club teams and stuff. But I love like the Papillion community, and just the economy over there is amazing. And just, I feel like it's just always gone up. And yeah, so me and my girlfriend, we bought our house kind of in that area over there. So I mean, I love Omaha, and this is like we said, no matter what, like obviously we want to move to like the warmth and the sun, right? But
that's the one drawback.
This is gonna be our home base. So we love that area, and just I love Omaha as a community, and I feel like everyone supports everybody. And like when you go off to these other places and you say you're from Omaha, Nebraska, people really don't understand. They don't understand maybe where it's at, or it was even a real place.
Right.
I feel like it's a community that supports everybody, especially in the sports world. Like, Omaha athletes always vouch for each other. So it's pretty amazing.
Oh, we'd love to hear that. Yeah. So you've mentioned your brother a few times. Do you have other siblings?
I do. So I have an older sister, older brother. Younger brother, his name's Keegan. He's at Kansas State now. He went to Iowa. And then I have a 6-year-old little brother. His name's Kyle. So, and he is very naughty. But I think he's going to be the best out of all of us.
Really?
And, yeah, we wrestle and play. And I was just with him last night. We were playing these games that he comes up with. And, it's really weird because we're like a 19-year difference. Yeah. And he's the best, though. I love him so much. He's an amazing brother.
He's going to keep you young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very young. And people always think like, do you have a kid, Cade? And I'm like, no, that's my little brother. So, but he's a joy to be around. So,
well, he's got some pretty big mentors.
Yeah.
In his bloodline.
Pretty big shoes.
Right. No kidding.
No pressure.
Right. None.
So.
Well, talking about you growing up as a kid, were you homebodies? Were you out and about? What was your childhood like?
I feel like it was a lot of just tournaments, like traveling to local tournaments, whether it's my parents getting us all in the car or us getting in a friend's car and going off. That was really the midst of all of it. It's just like baseball, football, and basketball we're always traveling. And I think that's my parents. They did an awesome job of just like always keeping us busy. Like we didn't really have time to get in trouble or do any of that like naughty stuff. So it was like it was perfect, and they kind of set a really good example of how I want to be as a parent with my kids. And yeah, they always kept us busy. And then our grandparents, they always had activities for us to do, and like we loved to fish and do all the good stuff. My grandmother, she would come up with a plate every summer, and it was like all the things that you wanted to do. And it would be like Mahoney State Park and all the fun things. So we got the best of everything in the summertime with our grandparents, and they were kind of just like a second set of parents to us. And my rest in peace to my grandmother. She was like my best friend, and I love her a lot. And my grandpa, he's still alive and doing well. And so like just to have those memories and just moments with them, and still making moments with my grandpa too. So they were amazing, and I love them a lot. So
that's wonderful to hear. And I think probably taking some of that same approach with your little brother now with your age gap.
Yeah.
So
he's very spoiled too.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm sure he looks up to you. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you guys do a lot of big family functions then with this many people?
Yeah, I would say it's not a competition, but my dad would take us somewhere, and then my mom would take us somewhere. So we would always do the trips, like the Dell, like Wisconsin Dells. We go to Florida, and all that good stuff. So it was always, I mean, that's kind of the nice things about the divorced parents is because 2 Christmases, and, you know, 2 Thanksgivings and all that good stuff. And,
I can relate.
but yeah, it was always fun, all the activities.
Yeah.
So
is there a favorite holiday during time frame for a family get-togethers?
I would say for the longest time as a kid, it was Christmas. I still love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday, but it's like now as when you're like, when you actually have to like shop for everybody.
Yeah. You're like, wow, that's a lot of work.
Like, I can't sit down at a house for 2 minutes without like, now I have to go to my dad's house.
Yep.
And now we're going over to my girlfriend's house. So it's like, it's a lot of running around, but I mean, I love my family, so it's worth it, and it's very chaotic, but
it's like a movie plot.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You know, we said it in your bio about playing basketball and football. You talked a little bit about all these other sports that you're in. Were there any school activities that people would be surprised to know that you did? Like, were you in drama? What did you
see?
I
was in show choir in junior high.
Okay,
And then my mom, she tried to get me to go. So I did show choir my freshman year of high school. Yeah. And then I didn't get too cool. That's not a thing. Because show choir is, I have a lot of respect for those people.
Yeah.
In drama and acting, my mom always says I should be, because I'm very dramatic about stuff. But no, yeah, it was. I mean, I did that a little bit. I'm actually really big into golf.
Okay.
Like golf is is my favorite thing right now. I like last year I had to kind of pull myself back because I was like, do I like this more than football?
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, golf is like another great activity for me. And my grandpa in high school, he used to take us up to this tournament every year in Shadron, Nebraska, because my uncle was the golf pro there. So at a very young age, he introduced us, and I think that I'm one of the brothers that kind of just kept going with that thing. And yeah, I love golf. It's very soothing for me. So
it's something you can play
forever.
Exactly.
Like into
we just had a golf tournament at the Pelican Hills in Orange County, and it's like, it was a beautiful course, and like just to go out there and like, I like try to act like I'm not very good. I'm not very good. Like, I'm not the best.
I'm sure you're probably underselling us on this.
But once I went out there and I hit a couple of shots, everybody was like, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's like the best feeling in the world. So,
you're like the next Steph Curry that plays basketball, but also is like,
I wish I'm just going to keep doing it for fun.
Yeah.
It's just like, you also just classically like expectations down here, and then you just smash them every single time you step up to the plate.
So yeah, it's a great feeling.
Yeah. This is one of our classic questions. We haven't asked it for a while, but what's something your family did that seemed totally normal at the time, like when you were growing up, but seems weird today?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's actually a really tough question. I would say, I don't know if this is weird or not, but like my parents, they have like, so they've been divorced, right? And they have a very like awesome relationship still. Like, they're really good friends.
That's good.
And they can communicate with each other. So I would probably say that is one, is just like having divorced parents, but still doing activities with both parents. And like my mom, like Kai is not her son, but she like loves him still. Like, he's just her son. So I would say like, that's kind of weird. Like, it's not normal. It's not
most
situations. Not normal, but it's also amazing. That
mine was not that situation. So
yeah, they bit the bullet for us sons. So it's been, my parents have been amazing. So I would probably say like just being able to keep the activities in house and not arguing or bickering about things like that. So
they were truly putting you all first.
Exactly.
And over any other.
More parents, divorced parents need that.
Yeah,
for
lesson.
Sure. For sure.
Okay, so you spend a lot of time obviously away from Omaha, the Omaha area. What do you miss most about it when you're gone?
I would probably just say the homebody, like just like everybody just is nice here. Like, you go to Seattle, and I love Seattle. Like, it's a really cool place to be, but like, you don't get that like Midwest friendly like anywhere. So it's like going to California and just like the hominess, like it's very like personable, and like you can have relationships and conversations with strangers, and it's so much harder to do that in like those other places. Like everyone's just very materialistic, and they love their designer and all that stuff. So I think that that's like the biggest thing for me is like being able to come back home and like just meeting random people and just making those connections and having those conversations. So
Midwest nice, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That was the word, Midwest nice.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Yes, it is.
Well, you talked about moving around a little bit, but your mom's been in a house for a long time. Is she still
like 20 something years?
Okay.
So she's doing great.
So one question that we typically like to ask is, what do you remember most about the house that you grew up in? I don't know if that's the one that you pick, but like
no, yeah, I would probably just say like the backyard. Like we've had so many great memories there, and just like all the things like running routes with our grandpa or like playing wiffle ball and hitting it over the neighbor's fence and then jumping over the fence, and it's the same fence. So it's like it's really like a lot of my core memories and all that stuff is still in that backyard, and that house is just like she like is this. I was just telling my dad this yesterday. She's this person, it's hard for her to let go of. Like, I'm like, Mom, you could sell this house and make a good amount of money from it. And she's like, she will do everything to the house to make it nice and make it hers before she sells it. And I love that about her, because it's like you don't see that a lot with people nowadays. So I'm still happy she's keeping the house alive and well. And I mean, it's in great condition for how long we've had it for. So it's amazing, and I love going back there.
Yeah, she cherishes it just like you do.
She really does. Yep.
Well, you have a lot of siblings. Did you ever have your own room?
I kind of a little bit. It was maybe for a couple of years when my brother went to college, but for the most part, we had like bunk beds, and then my older brother moved out, and my little brother moved into my room, our room, and so it was. And then she built him a room downstairs.
Oh, cool.
And so like my mom, she did a lot to kind of make us happy, and we get brothers bicker and fight and stuff. So I think that was for her help too. So
with the bunk bed, like there's so many
bad ideas. Having a bunk bed
my brother, he used to stay up like late at night and build Legos under the bed, and I'm like, dude, can you like go to bed? I'd like jump on him and stuff like that. Just like the best thing. So I don't know why I remember those memories, but they're great.
They've got a permanent space.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so in that span of like a couple of years where you had the room, did you decorate it? Like, did you put your own art on the wall? How'd you kind of make it the space your own?
Funny story. So I just went to my mom's house and picked up for our house. I picked up all the things that I had hanging against the walls and stuff. And I'm like, I can't believe like, it's just like, a lot of like sports pictures and like, just like sports memorabilia. Like I have, like, I'm a huge Cubbies fan.
Okay.
And I had a lot of Cubs stuff, like Pez dispensers, like you name it, like Christmas ornaments, like, and I was also a Packers fan. Yep. And I had like a bunch of like, I had some Brett Favre things and like a Packers helmet and like, I had these shelves and just like all my trophies on there. So I just got a big box and my girlfriend's like, what are we doing with this? And I'm like, this stays.
It's going up.
This is not for negotiating. This is staying, and it's coming into our house. So my mom, like, she's making my room into like a little office. So I had to pick it up. So.
Yeah,
cool.
But yeah, it was cool to like go through all the things and see like this is my childhood right
here.
So.
Walk down memory lane, I'm sure.
Yeah. So.
Oh.
Well, speaking of your home, I know that we've talked a little bit about that. You just picked out a new living room set, and there did the rug come with it? There's like a couple different pieces.
Yeah, so they shout out to NFM because it was like a stressful process, like coming in here and picking everything out. But yeah, we did the rug, the coffee table, the couch upstairs, all of our dining room chairs.
Oh wow.
And then they did the couch downstairs. So yeah, it was a crazy process. We also got a treadmill from here.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
And it's down in our storage room. We didn't take a picture of that because the storage room is kind of, there's a lot going on in there.
Not the most
But yeah,
storage room.
yeah. So
photo
we got a
ready.
treadmill and it's
Nice.
my girlfriend. She's about to do the Lincoln half, so she's been
Good for
putting
her.
some work in on that
Yeah.
treadmill. So yeah,
Love that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Can you tell us, like, when you came in,
mhm.
did you have a favorite part of the process? It was a little stressful because you're
Yeah.
picking out a bunch of things
Yeah.
and you're like,
We've
oh,
got
I
a
want it
few
to look
options.
Yeah.
good.
I would say like it was cool to like check out all the couches and like sit down. And we actually like came in here before like the deal was done because we just like wanted to see like what they had to offer. And it's such a wide variety of things. And it was honestly it was smooth for what we wanted. And my girlfriend, like, we had to put some things back and then we got some new things. So but like they were very, very, very like accommodating to everything that we needed. And they were very patient with us. So I feel like that was like the best part of the process, is just like meeting all you guys and just like being able to talk through what we wanted and like them being patient with us. So it was pretty smooth on that.
Did you come in with like a vision for what you're looking for?
Honestly, like I'm a guy. Like, I let my girlfriend just do all that stuff.
Smart
so
man.
It was really her who
You can just
designed
be like, yes, I love it.
Yes. She designed the house and I was like, I'm just the one that's providing the money.
I'm giving you a thumbs up.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
And
saw that. Like what was
yeah,
put together
yeah.
is really well done.
it's really hard too, because like I don't know anything about any of that stuff. So it's like, yeah, this is like, she's like, do you like this? And I'm like, yes. And
That's
she's
the
like,
best
well,
answer.
yeah. She was like, well, I don't know if I like this. And I was like, well, I don't know if I like it either.
Following your lead.
Yeah, exactly. So it was definitely an interesting process. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this like blend of like function.
mhm.
Yeah.
You
Does
want
it
it to
serve
be
the purpose
comfortable.
where,
Yes,
can
but
I lay on this couch?
Exactly.
yes, but I also
Exactly.
want it to look nice.
Yeah.
How do we both agree on that?
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
So is there a room in your house or something about your house that you feel like represents you the best?
like I love the whole house. The basement, like she let me like kind of take over down
Yeah.
there, and the couch is so comfy down there.
Okay.
And then I just got all my frames hung up,
Okay.
and we're still kind of working on the framing process. But like all like my close friends are up there on the wall
Oh,
now,
fun.
and we got this huge TV. It's 85 inches.
Woo,
So
yep,
it's
that's
like
pretty big.
it's yeah.
Get
So
a
we're about to have
Tan from
yeah.
that.
my girlfriend's brother, he's a coach of Nevada basketball, and they made the tournament. So
Oh,
we're gonna have a
awesome.
little
Oh,
party down
watch
there.
party.
tomorrow,
Fun.
and we're really excited because it's
Yeah.
like the first
Yeah.
time people are seeing that basement like really finished.
Yeah.
So that's probably my prized possession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
Yep.
Breaking it in.
yeah.
with some
I can't, and
friends.
I can't say my game room because she hates when I'm in there.
Yeah.
Because I'm in there for hours just grinding.
like console
yes,
gaming.
grinding,
Okay.
grinding the sticks. And
Yeah.
she's just like, "Are you ready to come to bed?" And I'm like, "One more
Not
game."
really.
But yeah, so
Oh.
What are you playing?
well, right now I've been really big into soccer. I'm
Okay.
a big FIFA fan.
Okay.
Okay.
A little bit of Call of Duty. I got to put Madden in there, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's cool to play with yourself on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, FIFA is like my go-to game right now. And I don't know. I've always been a soccer fan like that. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Is it like so surreal to like you're in a Madden game?
Yeah,
Like,
I
did
know.
you ever think that would be?
I know. And then like all my accessories that I do, like
Uh-huh.
it's all on there.
Yeah.
And yeah, my mugshot and all that good
Really?
stuff. Yep. So
That's pretty. Yeah.
yeah.
I wouldn't.
So
never know, but
cool.
Yeah,
I still
very
think I
cool.
deserve to be like a little better than what they have. me. I make the edits, so
Yeah.
Madden, they don't have to ever worry about that.
Well, we do need to start wrapping things up, but I have a couple questions left to kind of wrap up the what I've really enjoyed our talk. So I'm curious if you have a maybe funny or memorable moment of trash talk on the field, because obviously this is like in the
Yeah.
NFL, you got
Yeah.
a bunch of alpha males running
Mhm.
around.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's kind of a big thing.
Yeah. Oh, it was probably like this year, like, cause like you get in, I have some really good, like game trash talk memories where it's like, okay, we're getting into it, but they might not be good for the airways because like kind of bad. But like this year, so Coach Carroll, he was my coach for the last 3 years, and like I don't know why, but I was just known as the guy to get under the defensive skin in practice, and it was just like a one team meeting, and Coach Carroll, he brought up me to the team, and everyone just like thought it was the funniest thing, and just like him acknowledging my trash talk was probably like the best feeling for me. He's like, I don't know what it is about Cade, but he just gets under everybody's skin out there. And I was just like, that was just like, because I'm just like, that's part of my game right there. It's just the trash talking, and like him just acknowledging me, and like that was like that was it for me right there. So yeah, it's a good feeling. And now he's done, and it's like bittersweet, but I have that. We have that memory. So yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is.
So you have mentioned like having all these relationships, being friends with like people that we watch on Sundays, and just seeing them as normal people. I'm curious, how have those friendships within the NFL helped you navigate kind of the challenges of professional football? You know, both on and off the field, and like how that has helped you, especially again through all of the adversity that you've gone through.
Yeah. Oh, it's been everything for me, honestly. Like, I feel like some of those relationships really have kept me like in the league, like to be able to like perform and like not give up. And like my two best friends, like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, are like prime examples of that. And just like having those guys in my corner, like I don't even look at them as teammates. Like they're more of just like my best friends and brothers. Like they do anything for me, and I do anything for them. And it's like they have just like been like the best pros. Like they have done everything right. You know, they show up on time. Like it's not a coincidence that they're really good football players, because they just like, they know how to like operate, and they know how to treat others. And I feel like that's the biggest thing, is like just being able to like learn from them. And now like I feel like I can work that into my daily life, and just how I want to treat people and my teammates and coaches and stuff. So they're just like, they're the best. And like I felt so comfortable with them, just telling them anything. So like they know just as much as about me as anyone else. And I feel like that's key too, is just like having people you trust and you can rely on, and just like put yourself out there, and they just accept you for who you are. And yeah, it's been amazing. So
it's really special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, Cade, thank you again so much for joining us
Thank you guys.
in studio.
Yeah.
It's been really fun. How can people stay connected with you and kind of your journey back to the NFL, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So I've taken a little break from social media, but I'm about to get back on. I have Instagram, Cade Johnson too, and just my Twitter is Cade_Johnson. So yeah, and I love just like being able to, you know, talk to people on there. And you know, I'm not very like shy when it comes to like the follow back or messaging back. Like that's not that big of a deal to me. So yeah.
Love that.
Cool.
Yep.
So thanks again, Cade. I also want to thank Becca and Hilary, our producer Scott, and we've got Nicholas helping as well. And thank you to our listeners. And remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the I Am Home podcast wherever you listen. Then head over to nfm.com, where you can learn more about our company and shop 24/7 for today's top furnishing styles. We'll be back again soon with another episode. But till then, remember, home is what you make it.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hilary Woltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.